Hi there, welcome to Transco Trailer Sales Team. We'll be walking you through your 2025 Surveyor 265Rble. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera, as well as a liquid collapsible stereo system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, it is as simple as contacting our parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out. They're going to both be great additions to your camper. Also located back is going to be that spare tire. When you do get a 2-inch receiver down here, just keep in mind there's a weight restriction when it comes to using it. It's realistically just for a small bike rack. Also located in the bumper tube is going to be where you want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. In this back corner here, you do get your standard 50 amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of that silver strip there. It lines up with this silver strip on this side. Pressing that firmly into place, 8th turn to lock it in. If you follow that cord back, you do your standard 50 amp plug end. Now a lot of campsites, especially here in Manitoba, may not have that 50 amp service, so that's why we do include this 30 amp dog bone adapter. Just keep it in mind, when you are going down to 30 amps of power, you're not going to be able to run 2 air conditioners at once. You will be able to run 1 air conditioner at once. And then down from this 30, we do also include that 15 amp park adapter, which will take its 30 amp service down to a 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using that. You're not going to be able to run any air conditioners. It's realistically just to run your fridge and your lights and keep things going. You got your cable satellite inlet, and then you do have your black tank flush. It's very important that you do read the caution sticker. It's just letting you know that whenever you are using that black tank flush, it's very important that you have your sewer hose connected and the black tank valve open. Failure to do so would allow that tank to expand to the point of cracking. So just keep that in mind whenever you are using it. If you're coming down below here, you get your sewer outlet. You got your 2 valves, your black and your gray. You'll always want to empty your black one first. This is your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. Then you come behind that with your gray one, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Stabilizer jack, you have one in all 4 corners of the unit. It's important that you level the unit first and then run these down to the ground. Once the feet are contacted the ground, just give it another 1/8 quarter turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see having the unit right now away. And again, they are stabilizing jacks. They're not leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them as so, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them. Up a little further ahead, you get your rain hood flap. Whenever you are camping, you're going to want to make sure you undo that flap. That way you can evacuate those fumes as you're making them. Whenever you're not using the unit, making sure that you do clamp them back into place. That's just going to stop any excess dust from getting inside of the unit, as well as any critters. Down below here, you get your last sewer exit. This is for your galley tank. This is going to be another one you're going to want to empty last. This is filled just from your kitchen sink. Freshwater fill, so if you're out boondocking or your campsite just doesn't have water, you can stick a garden hose in there, turn it on, and that's what fills up your fresh tank. It's also what your water pump draws off of. City water connection, so if you are to set up service, you just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without needing to run your water pump. Then if you come down below the floor here, you get your fresh tank drain, opening up that valve, drains all the water out of the fresh tank. And then these 2 other lines here are going to be called low point drains. So the lowest point in the line to try and empty as much fluid out of the lines as possible. It's always a good measure to use this if you're using the water, not using the unit for a while, don't want water going stale or stagnant, or at the end of your winterization process. It's a good idea to crack these guys open, allow most of the antifreeze out of the lines. Up top here, you get your hot water service port. A couple notes about it though. Since it's your hot water service port, this is a on-demand system. There's no tank involved. There's no bypass valves behind it. There's none you need to turn. You do want to run antifreeze through this system. Once you've done your winterization process completely, when you crack those low point drains, crack open this pressure relief valve. That's going to allow any water that's inside the system to drain out. Any antifreeze that's inside the system to drain out, and you do want to leave it cracked open for the duration of winter. So that way, if that antifreeze does start expanding during those extremely cold winter months, it has a place to go and doesn't expand and crack inside your coils. Lining that guy up and closing it, just making sure that that rubber gasket does seat nicely around the exhaust like so. Any other way, it would cause some burning. I left this guy open here because this is where you get access to your water pump for winterization. You follow that hose back to the line, stick it into the pail of antifreeze like it is now, run it through all your taps, which I was in the middle of before we started the video. Right at the front of the trailer, At the front frame, you get your battery disconnect switch with it in the off position like it is now. The batteries are disconnected to the unit. Turning it to the on position would then connect the battery to the unit. The battery is located inside this box here. Right up front, you get your two standard propane tanks. Most of the time, you can get what you need done just by loosening off these tabs, moving them out of the way. Moving them out of the way, it'll allow you to flip this cover back. And then you get access to both the tanks, but just for the purpose of the video, we will take it right off. It just slides out of place, like so. You do have to wiggle it a little bit, and of course, after a couple times, it'll start to loosen up a little bit more. That is out of the way. Get your selector valve on the front of your regulator here. With it pointed this way, you're obviously drawing off this tank. So counterclockwise, like any standard barbecue, to open up the flow of propane. Tongue jack right to the front. On this side here, this is just the other side of your storage compartment. It's again where you're going to find your starter kit, some other miscellaneous goodies. Right here, you're going to notice you do have a little exterior shower, as you call it. Hold on the tab, flip down, hot and cold water. This has got two tabs on it on either side. You're just going to line them up with this guy, push them into place, lock it in. Now you got sprayable hot and cold water. You also got a USB charging in here, as well as a motion sensing light, which is nice. You can actually see what you're doing. Coming a little bit further down the unit, you got your main entry door, which we'll get to in a second. Furnace exhaust, whenever your furnace is on and running, this will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. Water outlet, which I already told you about. This is your accessory mount here, so this is where you're going to be mounting your exterior griddle, as well as that little table that comes with it as well. And then if you look straight down below here, get your propane quick connect line. With it in the off position like it is now, it'll allow you to operate that coupler. Your griddle is going to come with a quick connect line already. Pull back on the collar, insert that line, run it up to your stove once it's already on the side of the trailer. Open up the flow of propane, and then you can start it like any standard griddle. As an added safety feature, you can't operate the coupler with the flow of propane open, so you do have to close that flow of propane, and whenever you aren't using it, just making sure that you do put that dust cap into place to stop any debris from getting inside of the lines. Get inside, taking that assist handle, pushing it up, holding it 90 degrees, and it'll lock in place, and it will allow you to open up your stairs. Open up your door, get your stairs down. Your door has to be open all the way. At that point, you just gotta pull the tab. Let the stairs come towards you. They're gonna flip down. You do got adjustable feet. You just have to lift up on these black tabs. That'll allow these feet to slide into corresponding spots. Nice level stairs for the campsite. Now, you can step on its side. First thing you notice off on your left is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall here, you're gonna have your stereo, which again is pretty much just like home, minus the fact of zone 1 and zone 2. Zone 1 will be interior, zone 2 will be exterior speakers. Then right up top, you get your control panel. Turning on the interior light switch. This is going to turn on all the main living space lights. And now that we can see what we're doing, you also have some mood lighting, which turns on some accent lighting throughout inside here. Then a porch light, which turns on a little orange porch light outside. And then you do have an awning LED as well. Slide out control. Now, before you ever run your slide out, it's always a good measure to take a good look around inside and out. So, the reason I say inside is sometimes things do tend to shift during travel, whether that be cabinet doors, items, whatever. You just want to make sure that there's going to be nothing that's going to get caught in between the slide out fascia and the wall, which would cause damage. Same goes for the front, and then just of course on the outside, making sure you have enough room to put it all the way out. Once you've confirmed that you're good to go, you can just push that out button, watch the slide out and start making its way out. Just make sure it's going out nice and even, not doing anything weird, making sort of weird noises. And once the slide out does reach its full extension, you can hear the motor just wind up and then click. Once you hear the clicking, let off the button. It's not going to go out any more than what it already is. So you heard the clicking, so then you know you can stop. Now, if you want to be extra cautious, you could just run your hand between the slide out and the wall. Make sure that you can feel that rubber seal sealed up against here, so that way you're sealing out any moisture. And then last but not least for this panel anyways, you get your awning control. Of course, whenever you're running your awning out, always making sure you have in the back of your mind, keep an eye on the wind speeds. Once the wind speeds do start picking up, you're going to want to make sure you bring that awning in. Otherwise, you do run the risk of ripping your fabric or bending your arms. Then to put it out, it's just as simple as pushing and holding extend, which is up. The awning is going to start rolling its way out. And once the awning is at its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and the metal flap hang down. Unfortunately, today I don't think we'll be able to get it all the way out, but we will be able to get it out enough for me to show you the next couple of features. Sometimes that flap can get stuck, so you might just have to retract it a couple feet and then put it back out again. It should go back out. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better, because of course it allows for more shade underneath, you do the same thing with the front arm. Just make sure that you do push both these arms back to straight before you try and bring the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. If you have to run that awning in while it's wet, it's not the end of the world. Just try and remember at your next earliest convenience, roll it back out and allow it adequate time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew inside of there. And then to retract it, you're just pushing down, which is retract. It's going to start rolling its way in. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motor will automatically cut out. Again, it's always a good measure just to keep an eye on it, making sure it's not doing anything weird while you are operating it. And then up top here, now that that's done, you get your solar controller. There's going to be a bunch of different settings you can go and play with. I'm going to recommend going over the owner's manual for playing with that. But it is currently set up for your basic charging needs. If there's going to be sun outside hitting the panel, it's going to be applying a charge to your front battery. Here, you're going to notice these bent stools. They're latched in. There's a reason for that. You don't want them shifting around, going all over the place whenever you're traveling, so make sure you latch them up whenever you're traveling. Light switch on your left, that turns on the light switch in the bedroom space here. You got your bedroom sliding door again. Another travel latch you're going to want to make sure is latched, because without it, it does allow the door to slide around freely, and if you're traveling, it's probably going to cause some damage. So just be careful whenever you're doing that. All the blinds in the unit are going to work the same way. They're just going to kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. This is going to be the fire exit for inside of here. I'm just going to grab this red tab, pull it, the screen's going to pop right out of place. At that point, you can take this handle, push it, hop on out of the unit. Of course, trying to go feet first, but if there is a fire, just getting out as quickly as possible is pretty important. You got a TV backer on this wall here in case you did want to mount a TV. It's going to be the best place to do so. Some reinforcing back here to support that weight of the TV. You got a couple of plug-ins and outlets over there as well. This is currently set up as a roof vent, so you can crack that open. And of course, while cracking that open now, you're going to notice you open up straight into the atmosphere. So if it were to start raining, it's going to get pretty wet inside of here. And then of course, if you're to forget that open during travel, there's a chance you run of damaging it. So we do sell Max Air covers here at the shop. It's a cover that goes over top of this vent. It is going to stop rain from getting inside of here when it's raining. It's also going to protect you a little bit against hail and travel damage. If you want to get set up with that, again, just contact the parts department. They'd be more than happy to provide you with a quote. It's going to be a great addition to your camper. But let's say you wanted to get your second air conditioner installed because you're prepped for it. This is where it would be going. You're already prepped for it. You got the thermostat prep over here. Again, that's another thing you can contact the parts department if you'd like to get them to, if you'd like to get us to install it. Underneath the bed, if you pick up the foot, you can get a little bit of extra storage space. That's also where you're going to find your central vac tools. And then right at the front of the bed, they give you a couple little drawers here for storage space for clothing. Thought was pretty awesome. Inside, behind these cabinets, in the back there's some more shelving. You also got some USB and regular plugins back there and a couple cup holders. Thought it was pretty sweet. Above your heads, a couple more lights that are on their own center push button. Now taking a step on into the main living space, because that's pretty much it for the bedroom. Get your kitchen area. Again, self-explanatory. Now there's tons of storage throughout this unit, and I mean tons. Whenever you're using any of it, just of course being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that. Just as you're putting things in, be mindful of what they are laying against, especially since this is a moving vehicle. Things shift, things do slam around, so just keep that in mind. Got your sink, hot and cold water, central vac right below here. Obviously with this open, you can insert your tool, turn it on, start sucking away. If you close it, that'll give you access to your bag. You can pop that guy open. We do get dart replacement bags here at the shop. If you'd like to get set up with those, just contact the parts department. They'd be more than happy to get you a new one. Just keep it in mind, it does connect at the back as well, because this one has the dustpan system built into it. So if you lift that up, it's going to suck up anything that's in front of it. Just keep it in mind, whatever you put in front of it, it's realistically just meant for sand, dirt, and dust. You're not going to be wanting to put stones or sticks or anything in there, because again, it does get all sucked into a bag. So, storage all throughout. Again, tons of storage into our kitchen area. Now, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector on this wall here. So if this guy does ever start going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents, and get some fresh oxygen inside here. Since that topic's done, we will go over propane. Whenever you turn the system off at the front of the unit, it does allow air into the system, especially if you do disconnect one of the bottles. So that's why I always recommend, whenever you first get to your campsite, coming and firing up your stove first thing. The reason I say that is because if you go to try to fire up your water heater or your furnace or something else that runs off propane, those usually only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they don't sense a flame because there's still air in the lines and no gas to it yet, it could throw a fault code. And if you don't know what the fault code means, you can throw a little wrench in your weekend. So again, just by firing up your stove quickly when you first get there, it's going to eliminate that process. But of course, because it's a gas stove, being safe while doing so. So if you're operating this gas valve, making sure that you are operating the igniter every few seconds. You're going to see it fired up pretty quickly there. That's just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it. And of course, safe. Again, if you're running the gas valve, making sure you're running that sparker every few seconds, because failure to do so, if gas were to start coming through and then a random ignition source happened, there could be a minor combustion, causing you to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes if your face was nearby. Doesn't sound like fun to any of us. So again, just be safe whenever you are trying to light it. Same goes for your oven. You're gonna push this knob, turn it over to the pilot option, push and hold the knob in. Now the pilot can take exceptionally long to get going just because the gas orifice is so small. So pushing and holding that in, hit the sparker. Again, it's important you're lighting that, trying to light that every few seconds whenever the gas is on. That way you don't have any buildup of gases. And if you do ever notice that a gas valve's on and you didn't have an ignition source going, make sure you air it out real well before trying to fire anything else up. Now that pilot's lit and it's able to stay lit without you pushing in on the button, you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it does fire right on up. To my right, you got a button here that turns on some illumination knobs, as well as the illumination knobs plus an oven light. And then right next to all this is your fridge. Freezer combo. Controls for the freezer are up top. Controls to the fridge are down below. Got that power button. You're going to push and hold that for 3 seconds to turn it on or off. And then you got the little snowflake button to go between all your different settings. So number 2 is going to say off grid. That's letting you know the most energy efficient setting to run it on if you're running it off battery power. And then you got number 5, which is the coldest setting, and you notice it says fast up top. So let's say you planned a camping trip, you're leaving Friday, it's Thursday night, your significant other says, hey, make sure you go turn on the fridge in the camper so that everything stays cold when we leave tomorrow. You completely forget, it's the next morning, you're leaving right away, turn it on to that 5th setting. Again, that's what's going to get us the coldest, the fastest. And yeah, just hold the power button, turn it off, so that you're done. In your dinette area, this does turn down into a bed. You just having to remove these 2 feet from underneath the tabletop. Set your tabletop on its 4 desired ledges. Take your back cushions to fill in the center. You'd have yourself another bed in case you have any guests that you weren't planning on. Over here, you get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses will be on the right. Behind me, got your 2 recliner chairs, and if you fold down that center thing, you get a little, if your phone has it, the cordless charging, which I thought was pretty awesome. Fold it back, recliner chairs, recliners are on either side. That's going to be the fire exit for the main living space. So you're just having to take these 2 red handles, pull them, unclip them, and that'll allow you to push on the window and completely hop out. Got some more accent lighting over here, again, just on their own center push buttons. On this side, You get a massive pantry space, couple hangers on the right, whether that be coats or anything else. It is magneted shut, which is nice. Light switch on the right, that's going to turn the light switch on in the bathroom. But before we do get into the bathroom, you get your thermostat. Works pretty simple. Push and hold the button, that's going to turn it on. It's going to take you to the last known setting, so in this case it is the fan setting. Now that's just moving air around using the air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. Push the button one more time, that'll get you to dry, so that's just a dehumidifying mode to try and take as much moisture out of the air using the air conditioner. And one more time after that, now that gets you into cool. Now whenever you are in that cool setting, I always recommend running the fan speed at automatic. That means it's an on-demand system. So that, let's say, well, it's currently 60 degrees in here and the thermostat's set to 70, so that's why the air conditioner you can hear kicked out. So it's an on-demand system. It's going to be the easiest system to use and of course the most efficient setting to use. I recommend using it because when you go to fire up your furnace is a separate entity from your air conditioner. Your furnace uses propane, so again, it's going to be important that you purge that system before you try and fire it. And it moves all its air through the floor portals you have throughout the unit. Whenever you turn the furnace off, after it being turned on, it does run for an additional 3 minutes to allow itself time to cool down. Push and hold the power button again to turn that all back off. And then last but not least, taking a step on into the bathroom. Pretty awesome bathroom. Tons of storage space, hanger space. Above my head, another roof vent. This one has a fan built in. The button to turn it on is right there. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. First setting being the slowest, fourth setting being the fastest. This is going to be another one that you're probably going to want to put a cover on, probably more important than the bedroom, because again, you lift it open, you're straight up into the atmosphere. And this one you do use lots just because it's being in the bathroom, so whether you're evacuating smells or moisture from taking a steamy shower, that's the one you use. Now in the, we'll call this, I can't remember the word for it, sorry, a case of the Tuesdays. Get your monitor panel system, so pushing the button tells you the corresponding level of the tank. And then down below you got your water pump switch, which does draw out of your fresh tank. Then you got your water heater switch, which I'll go over in a second. And then what you have, it's called a heating tank system. So this is essentially for extended camping seasons. Now just keeping in mind, that's realistically for that 1 to 5 degree mark. If you're camping below -0, you run the risk of things freezing. So just keep that in mind. If you're below 0, things may freeze and then you are liable for it, even if you do have these all on, because it's not really adequate for that minus temperature range. Water heater switch, turn that on. That supplies power to the thermostat as long as the switch is on outside at the main thing there. Then you can turn your thermostat on your water heater up and down to set your set temperature, Celsius and Fahrenheit, with the press of a button. Now, because this is a tankless system, it does work a little bit differently than a tanked system, which is what most people are used to, especially with them being in your house. The way you want to set the temperature is based off of where you find the water the most comfortable with just the hot on. So if you crank the hot on, you want to be able to just crank that hot on and only run the hot. You don't want to have to blend in the cold. And the reason being is this system works off flow. Once you turn on the cold, it does change the flow, which throws things off. It can allow for hot spots or cold spots. Again, just set the temperature based off of where you find it the most comfortable with just the hot on. Then you get your main GFI plug, so if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, just make sure that this isn't tripped. You got reset up top, test down below. Again, this is just a quick troubleshooting method in case you plugged into something and you had no power. Now that is it for this video here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.